Spider-Man has had a long history of video games, which I will surely cover in the future as well, like the 2004 Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in, Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, and the PS1 Spider-Man video game, but nothing has even come close to how good Spider-Man for the PS4 is. In my opinion, the truest form of Spider-Man that we will ever see in any medium outside of the comic books. They just get him right, to the constant quips he makes during fights, the relationships he has with people like Aunt May and Mary Jane, the struggles between balancing responsibilities between being a superhero and trying to live a normal life as well. It's just perfect. Now, I'm not going to be hyping this game up completely because there are some aspects of the game that I don't like as well that I will cover a little bit later. So the essence of the story is about this character named Martin Lee, also known as Mr. Negative, who runs a homeless and wellness shelter along with Aunt May. He is actively seeking vengeance against Norman Osborn for reasons that I won't spoil. So your job as Spider-Man and the journey you will be going through is trying to stop him from acting that out and causing havoc. The beginning of the video game will obviously put you through the tutorial, and boy, when I tell you that this game gets you hyped up from the beginning, it is just great. You have a few difficulty settings to choose from, friendly neighborhood being the easiest, then moving up to friendly, amazing, spectacular, and then ultimate. The difficulty is pretty balanced throughout the game. There aren't too many difficulty spikes you'll come across, if any, honestly. Just as long as you're using your equipment to your advantage, then you should be good. The enemies that you'll come across throughout the game vary from thugs, Mr. Negative's henchmen that have the abilities of their own to watch out for, and Silver Sable's men that come to protect the city under orders from Norman Osborn. The combat is very fluid and you can rack up combos like crazy and never get hit once for as long as you're keeping the flow of the fight to your advantage, which is why I always recommend to utilize your gadgets and web attacks. I never really did this through my first playthrough, but after playing it for a third time, I realized how useful they can actually become in a fight. Such as web bombs, where if upgraded all the way, you can web up a whole group of enemies that are now vulnerable to your attacks. You can also, before engaging in an all-out brawl, try and take things quietly, which I can see is a big inspiration from the Batman Arkham games that the previous Spider-Man games have tried to do as well. It is just great on the many ways that you can take on a fight. The swinging in this game is great also. It finally went back to the Spider-Man 2 days where you have to be close to a building for you to web swing from. It feels great and the overall experience playing as Spider-Man is just amazing. There are just a couple missteps that I really do wish that the developers would have worked on, like the overuse of rocket launchers, because while I can believe that any bad guy can get their hands on an assault rifle, do you really expect me to believe that any group of bad guys can get a very accessible RPG at any time? It just seems like any bad guy can walk into a store and buy one. It happens so much. I don't like it not because that they are annoying in battle, because I can dodge them easily, but it's just the believability of the situation, because on the off chance that I do get hit with one, I'm just frustrated now because this many people should not be able to have their hands on one. Another issue I found was the missions that made you play as either Mary Jane or Miles Morales. Now don't get me wrong, I adore these characters. Mary Jane is the best love interest that Spider-Man will ever have, and Miles is such a comic relief and relatable character. However, the missions that you play as them can really change the pace of the video game that I wasn't a fan of. It's not that I hated the missions, but whenever I would play through this game multiple times, I would get to the point in the story where I was like, oh, yup, it's that part of the game now. It just took away from the fun that I was just having playing as Spider-Man, because that's what I'm here to do, not play as these guys. Another thing Spider-Man does well though is giving you side missions to do on your adventure as Spider-Man. Either trying to take down Tombstone, tracking people's locations from a picture, rescuing pigeons, taking pictures of famous landmarks across the city, doing missions assigned by the Taskmaster, or even finding your lost backpacks that give you some nice commentary throughout the game. The best option they have in this game for you is the ability to change your costume and actually see it in cutscenes. My favorites being Scarlet Spider, 2099, and of course the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit, each coming with its own abilities that can help you out in a fight. Last thing I want to bring up that I always thought was pretty dumb was the very unnecessary puzzles throughout the game. Now, the reason why I say that they're unnecessary is because I feel like that they just ruin the flow of the game, like how the MJ and Miles missions do. And I feel like I can back this argument up by Insomniac literally giving you the option to skip these entirely. When I saw that, it literally just made me laugh because I feel even they thought that people wouldn't want to do them. And you know what? They were right, because every time they came up, I completely skipped them. Not because they are difficult, but because they are very easy. I just didn't feel like doing them, and you guys keep taking away my time from being the amazing Spider-Man. The 3 DLCs are really good as well and give you a bit of an extension to the game even after the events of the ending, so I highly recommend that if you want the full Spider-Man experience, pick up the DLC as well. If you get really good at the game, it can take you about up to 8 hours to beat the campaign if you were just running through it, and I was able to do that on the ultimate difficulty without dying once. But guys, I could not recommend this game enough. If you have a PS4, please do yourself a favor and pick this game up. You cannot call yourself a Spider-Man fan without having played this game. Guys, my name is Pedro Ordonez, also known as GameLight7. Please subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up, do whatever you guys can to support this channel. Let me know what you guys would like to see me cover next, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.